Hello and welcome to week 16 of Any Given Sunday. My name is Tyler. I would say right here, my good friend Coop, but on the other screen from his home is my good friend Coop. As you can see, it's a little bit different this week. We are college students and we are on winter break, so we're both at home. But Coop, did you get any snow?
Oh yeah, big
No,
time. We got like 4 inches.
nice.
We got a lot.
Yeah, yeah, we got a little bit. It's currently absolutely freezing right now. It's like 15 degrees, 15 degrees outside. And the snow that fell on Friday is not going anywhere. Um, but yeah, the eastern United States has been getting really hit with winter, with snow early this winter. Which I'm happy to see. Good football weather, as Jameis Winston would say. Good
Excellent
football weather.
football weather, and we saw some winter weather in some games this week.
Yeah, yeah.
One of
Buffalo, Cincy, I believe New York. The Jets also had some winter weather, pretty much everywhere.
yeah,
Um,
it
and
was
it,
scattered throughout the Philadelphia game.
yeah,
Um, we forgot to
but
go over our records in the headlines video, and that is our bad. But we collectively on the games we agreed on went 5-6 last week, and it's not the first time we've been around 500 or even sub 500 on those. But it is the first time both of us have gone sub 500 in the same week. I think all season we
yeah,
went 2-2 on the games we disagreed on. We went 9-8 over, or no, sorry.
7-9 or
So yeah, we went 7-9
7 and
overall.
7-8.
Or 7-8 overall. How was that? There were 16 games last week. Oh, the Thursday game we were wrong about too.
Yeah,
Fuck. So that's we went 7-9 last week, which brings our yearly records as I alter them very quickly. Um, to I am 101. I broke 100 wins. It only took until week 15. Yes, 100 correct predictions with 71 incorrect predictions. Um, I am 30 games over 500. That feels good. Uh, Hopefully, I don't slide too far. Um, you are 94-77, so you are only 6 correct predictions away from breaking that 100 game barrier or that 100 correct prediction barrier. And you are 17 games over 500.
yeah. I haven't had as good of a season as I hoped for. Frankly, I wish I didn't. Um, Bet an insane, ridiculous, probably 5% chance to win upset last week in the Browns Bears game. Probably wasn't the best one to put the any given Sunday mark on, um, but it happens. Um, this is our first season to do this. Hopefully next season we can figure out a way to be a little bit more accurate, not just me, but both of us. Um, so those are our records from last week. It wasn't the greatest week, but there were also a lot of upsets last.
Yes.
I mean, the Thursday night Atlanta Tampa game was an upset. The not Monday night, Sunday night Vikings Cowboys. The Vikings were able to upset the Cowboys. The
The Eagles
Saints,
were able to upset the Raiders
the Saints beat the Panthers
again.
again. The Saints are the Saints are the 1985 Bears against their own division. Um, they just struggle to lose this season. It's been really wacky. But hey, that's the NFL. And on to our games for this week. Our first circled game we've got is going to be on Saturday. I believe our first Saturday NFL game of the season. I
It
love
will be
this.
the second. It's the Saturday night game, but it is the first time we are covering a game that has happened on Saturday.
I love to see it. I love it when NFL football is 4 days a week.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. It might be my favorite time of the year.
it's
But we
nice
got the
when
Packers.
it's nice when the college season ends and you get that like couple week stretch
Yeah,
where the NFL can play on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Because the bowl games haven't started, but the college regular season and conference championships are over. It's a really pristine time of year.
it absolutely is. In our first circle game is that Saturday night game is the Green Bay Packers going into Chicago. We've got this one marked pretty similarly, but I want to hear your thoughts on it first.
Yeah, so I will hedge this first by saying my prediction on this game would be different if Micah Parsons were playing. We talked about it in the headlines. A lot of unfortunate injuries last week, including two season enders, two superstars in Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons. That impacted both of my predictions for this week. Um,
It has to. I mean, both
and
of these star players, it makes a difference.
and Micah being out makes me believe that the Bears can upset their longtime older brother in the division. And I have it pegged as a 31-24 Bears victory. I think that the Bears got oh so close last time they played. I want to say the final score was 28-21 or 31-28. I'm looking this up now because I'm bad at my job. It was 28-21 last time they played in Lambeau. But the Bears had a chance to win on what ended up being their final play of the game. Caleb Williams executed a play poorly. He threw an interception on what ended up being the final Bears snap of the day, and it could have been a touchdown pass if he'd put a little more air under it. Instead, it was an interception. I am very excited to see more Bears-Packers football. I don't know when the last time anyone said that was, but I am very excited to see the rematch. I think that both of these teams are really, really good. And this game effectively decides the NFC North. It doesn't officially do that. There are still two games after this, including. Actually, the Bears' final 3 weeks might all be division opponents. Let's see. They play the Packers this week. They play the Lions in week 18. Next week, they go to Santa Clara to play the 49ers. But I'm going to say this before we talk about the Lions game. There is a chance that the Lions still win the NFC North. It would require the Bears to lose out, the Packers to only beat the Bears, and the Lions to win out. But they could do it. That would put them at 11 wins, and it would put each of their division opponents at 10. So all three teams likely to make the playoffs, but there's still an outside shot. The Lions win this division. I think the Bears close the door on that this Saturday with a win over Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And that Micah Parsons injury really does make a huge difference for Green Bay. I mean, the Green Bay's defense is still a great defense without Micah Parsons, but with Micah Parsons, it is just that much better. And when you're playing a red-hot Bears team, it is kind of tough to see how they are going to be able to outmatch them again without one of their superstars on defense. And yeah, if Chicago wins, it puts them at 11 and essentially steals the division. I mean, the only other way is that if Chicago wins this week and then Chicago loses their last two games and Green Bay wins their last two games, that is the only scenario where Chicago doesn't win this division.
Yeah.
But I think that the Bears are going to win this. It's in Chicago, which absolutely helps. Lambeau is one of the most historic stadiums in the NFL. And the fans in Green Bay are very passionate and they are very loud. So this one being in Chicago really, really helps and makes a huge difference. And I think that the Packers defense just isn't going to be able to do enough to win this one without Michael Parsons. And I think that Chicago and Green Bay are going to end up splitting the season series with the Bears taking this 130-27.
Yeah, I mean, Soldier Field is truly historic in its own right. Unlike Lambeau Field, Soldier Field is planned to be retired in the next couple of years with the Arlington Heights Stadium that the Bears are planning on building. It would be really, really nice to see the Bears beat up on older brother just once. They beat the Packers in Week 18 at Lambeau last year. Caleb Williams has never not split with the Packers, and that was when he had a terrorist at head coach and offensive coordinator. So I expect with Ben Johnson, they will probably split this season series. And speaking of splitting things, it's fitting that we disagree on this prediction because I don't think either one of us really knows what the fuck is going on with these two teams. But a battle for the NFC South. Buccaneers at Panthers. It is in Carolina. What do you see going down in this one?
I mean, this is. I've got the Bucs winning this one 29-23, and this is why. When I was thinking about how to predict this game, I was thinking, do I think that the Panthers are going to sweep the Bucs? No. I see this one going down as a split pretty much no matter what. And the reason why I got the Bucs winning this one is because the Panthers have shown this year that they are one of the ultimate trap teams, especially when they're going on the road. So the reason why isn't because I think that the Bucs are particularly better right now. It's because I think that the Bucs are going to lose the one in Tampa, but they're going to win the one in Carolina. So I've got the Bucs winning this game 29-23, coming off of a brutal upset against Atlanta at home in the Creamsicles. That's just one of the worst situations to lose in.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to put a lot of fire in this team right now. They've got Mike Evans back, which no one expects to happen. And I think that is so much bigger than a lot of people anticipate it to be. I mean, Mike Evans is obviously one of the best receivers of the last decade, and he is still a great receiver right now. And if he can put together a performance like he had last week, I think the Bucs are going to take this one 29-23.
Yeah, I have the Panthers winning at home. Fuck. I gotta be honest. I think if you had asked me 3 weeks ago, are the Panthers going to sweep the Buccaneers? I would have gone, no. What the fuck? Are you insane? I'm not convinced that the coaching disparity between the Panthers and the Bucs is significant or is less than the talent disparity between these two teams. Bryce Young is playing out of his fucking mind over the last few weeks. The Panthers defense has really played well over the last couple of weeks. Last week, Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore, who I think are a better set of coaches than whoever the fuck the Panthers DC is, and Dave Canales. No disrespect to Dave Canales, by the way. I think he's great. I just think Kellen Moore is better. The Saints just showed, I think, why the Panthers have a chance at winning this matchup. Coaching disparity matters a lot more than talent disparity in the modern NFL. The Jaguars were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. Liam Cohen takes over, and in 1 year, they're threatening for the 1 seed if they win this week. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if they win this week, they're threatening for the 1 seed in the AFC. The Patriots were god-awful last year. They are threatening for the 1 seed in the AFC in year 1 with Mike Vrabel. Coaching matters so much in the modern NFL. And the Panthers are going to be a prime example of that when they beat the Buccaneers 27-24 on Sunday.
Coaching, especially in football, matters a lot more than a lot of fans, I think, will contribute or will even think about. I mean, coaching is just such an important aspect of the game. So I do think that you have a really great point about coaching disparity. But at the same time, Baker Mayfield has not been playing great over the last six games, and he's the thing with truly elite players is that when they slide, they bounce back. And I'm anticipating that at some point, Baker's got to bounce back. And I think that very well could happen this week in Carolina. But we'll see what happens. And this is a division that I think is surprisingly exciting to see what happens. And I'm absolutely here for it.
I was adjusting our divisional spreadsheet this morning, and I looked at the records in the NFC South, and I saw 7-7, 7-7, 5-9, and 4-10, and I had the genuine thought, oh, this division's gonna be good next year. This division's gonna be fun to watch next year. I think that the Bucs are probably due for a coaching change. And I think that nothing would accelerate that more than Todd Bowles missing the playoffs. And I think that if Todd Bowles were just the defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he would have been fired at the end of last year for the way the defense performed at the end of the season. I think he would have been fired after the playoff loss to Washington for how poorly the defense played. He is the head coach, which complicates things. But I still might have fired him after the playoff loss and promoted Liam Cohen. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. Cohen has turned out to be an excellent head coach, and it's impossible to predict that when someone's just a coordinator. But Bowles has been given chances as a coach. This is not his first. He has been given chances as a coach, and it has never worked out.
Yeah, and I mean, when Todd Bowles was promoted after Bruce Arians went to work in the front office, I didn't think it was the best pick. I was curious to see what would happen, but I think after, what are we now, in year 5 of Todd Bowles, head coach of Tampa, year 4 of Todd Bowles, Tampa Bay head coach, I'm not convinced that he is the right guy to bring Tampa Bay another ring.
Well, and that's really damning, isn't it? I mean,
it sucks, but I honestly think that the best is that this doesn't happen in the NFL, but I think that this would be a prime example of where it would be good to happen is to put Todd Bowles back at DC.
Yeah.
Or put him somewhere on the defensive staff. Because I think that as a defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles was very successful. And even though as a head coach, the defense hasn't been successful, I think that when he only has the responsibility towards the defense, he can be a lot more successful. Because as a head coach, you obviously have to be concerned about so much more. And I think that has impaired his ability to be a defensive-minded coach. So I think that the best decision for the Bucs is to put him back in DC or somewhere on the defensive staff, and then search elsewhere for a head coach. But I think that firing him and getting rid of him and making him leave the organization as a whole, I don't know if that's the best thing because he's been in the organization for a good amount of time now.
Well, and it might have to be a Pete Carroll or Bruce Arians type thing, right? Where he's not fired, he's been promoted to executive. He no longer has any control over the team, but this way they can fire him without firing him. And I hate to admit it because I really like the Buccaneers and I really like Baker Mayfield. I'm rooting for them to lose out. I want them to lose this week. I want them to lose next week, and I want them to lose in Week 18 against the Panthers. Because the Buccaneers have played like there is one team in the NFL that is talented enough to overcome coaching deficiencies. and we both know who it is, and one of us roots for them. The Buccaneers are not talented enough to overcome coaching deficiencies, and I would love. I need to look at their schedule to see how many games in a row they've already lost. But I'd love for the Buccaneers season to end on a, let's see. They beat the Cardinals a couple weeks ago. So it would be a 5-game slide for Tampa. If they lost out, it would be a 5-game slide for Tampa at the end of the year. That would put them at 7-12. Or 7-10 rather. And sucks, man. You lost the division to the Panthers. Eat shit.
It would be curious. I mean, I think that would, if they lose this week, it might be bad to lose out to try to secure a higher draft pick. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. I'm excited to see how this division shakes out. This season of football, this kind of mid-December football is probably one of my favorite parts of the season because everyone's still playing and every single game feels like a must-win for half the teams in the NFL. So I'm excited to see how this one shakes out. I'm excited to see how the division shakes out. And speaking of what feels like must-wins, and you mentioned earlier how the Jaguars can compete for the 1 seed this week. They play the current 1 seed holders of the AFC in the Denver Broncos, and they're playing in Mile High. And I want to hear what you think is going to go down this week in Denver.
Well, the Broncos are one of 2 teams in the entire NFL and the only team in the AFC to have clinched a playoff spot. Now, the Patriots are winning in. That is still true. But the Broncos still have one more game to play against the Chargers. I believe that's their Week 18 game. It's the rematch against the Chargers. They have one more game to play against the Chiefs. And this week, they get the Jaguars. Those are 3 tough games to end the season. And I don't think anyone would call me crazy for saying the Broncos could go 15-2. They are 12-2 currently. I don't think anyone would call me crazy for saying the Broncos could win out, even if the Chiefs or the Chargers were at full strength. Go ahead.
I mean, I think the Chargers are probably definitely going to be the toughest matchup. Although that very well could be, depending on how the division shakes out, depending on how the rest of the AFC shakes out. The Broncos could very well bench their starters in that game. But under the circumstance that they don't, it is a really tough back three. And I don't think it's crazy to say that they're going to go 15-2. I also don't think it's insane to say that they could go 12-5.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really tough back three. Even though the Chiefs are without Patrick Mahomes, it's still the Chiefs, and it's still a division opponent. And we've seen numerous times across this NFL that just because a division rival is out a couple superstar players, it does not mean it is a layup win.
Yeah.
Granted, with all of that being said, the Jaguars are hot right now. They are winners of 5 straight. They have risen to the top of the AFC South. They have risen to the 3rd seed in the AFC and are fighting to move up the ladder in seeding. And I think that this game is going to be a really exciting one to me. The sides to watch are going to be the Denver's defense versus Jaguars offense. The Jaguars offense is very explosive and has the ability to put up 35 plus on pretty much any given week. But the Broncos defense is not the defense of a lot of the other teams the Jaguars have played this year. The Broncos defense is very, very good everywhere. And with that, I think the Jaguars are going to put up a really good fight. I think it's going to be a really close game. And I think the Broncos win the game 23-20 on account of a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
The clock expires.
And it feels worth mentioning, the Broncos had arguably their toughest home game yet of the season last week against Green Bay. Unfortunately, Micah Parsons did get injured late in that one, but the Broncos were already leading when that happened. And they have not lost at home. And I was talking to my boss at school, who is a Ravens fan. And he asked me who I trusted out of the AFC. And I said, look, it's been rocky. But I'm sticking by my preseason Super Bowl pick. This is the latest into a season a preseason Super Bowl pick has ever made it for me. I'm sticking with Broncos Rams. They're both the 1 seeds currently in their respective conferences. Nobody's going to go into Denver and beat the Broncos in the playoffs. It's not happening. And if they get the 1 seed, they have as free of a ride to the conference championship at minimum as anyone could possibly ask for. I have them beating the Jaguars at home this week, 35-31. I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. I think we get another Trevor Lawrence gem. I think we get a coaching gem out of Liam Cohen. The Jaguars looked at themselves when they were 5-4, and they said, "What kind of team do we want to be?" And at that point, the Colts were 8-1, and the Jaguars said, "You know what? Fuck you. We're going to do everything we can to claw back in this division." And the Colts helped them. Right? The Colts helped them by starting a slide. But the Jaguars are going to be a tough, annoying team. And even though I don't think they're going to win in Denver, I expect it to be a lot closer than I think most people would have coming into this year.
Absolutely. I completely agree. We both see the game going a little bit differently in terms of scoring-wise, but I don't think either of us see it going differently in terms of what kind of game this is going to be. I mean, I feel like this is going to be one where they are going to be neck and neck pretty much at every single point in the game. I don't see the score gap getting larger than 1 score at any point. And personally, this might be my second most excited game to watch this week. This is definitely going to be the one I've got circled on the 4 o'clock window for Sunday. I'm really, really excited to watch it. And it could have huge implications for who holds the 1 seed in the AFC at the end of the season.
Even if it's not Jacksonville, if New England wins out and Denver loses this game, I mean, if the Broncos have to lose 2 of 3 for New England to get the 1 seed, they have to lose out for the Jaguars to get it, and a lot of shit has to go right for Jacksonville. But Denver is there. They are very, very close to the peak of where they're going to be. This is not ahead of schedule, like I would say the Patriots are. This is where you expect them to be. 2nd-year quarterback, loaded defense, great offensive line, solid receiving core, solid backfield, a solid quarterback sometimes when Bo Nix decides that he wants to play well. You would expect that team to be competing for a Super Bowl, and I think they will be come January.
In terms of the seeding, I believe it is if Jacksonville wins, Denver needs to lose 1 more to either Kansas City or the Chargers, and then Jacksonville needs to win out because that would put them each at 13-4.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville would have the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Yes.
So if Jacksonville wins this one, they've got a shot at rising to the 1 seed. I mean, these top 3 seeds in the AFC are really close, and I'm excited to see how they are gonna shake out.
It really feels like any team in the AFC, except the AFC North winner, could feasibly be the 1 seed in the NFL. And mathematically, the AFC North winner can't be. If everybody lost out and the Steelers won out, they would still only have 11 wins to the Broncos' 12. So, but it's going to be a really exciting end of the season in the AFC. I expect the rematch of Ravens Steelers, and I believe Week 18 to be the final playoff spot that we don't know about. The Colts, I think, will get eliminated before Week 18, making that game moot for all but seeding. And I think that the rematch between the Steelers and the Ravens is going to end up being for the AFC North and for the final playoff spot in the AFC. The NFC is still a little more up for grabs with the Lions and the Panthers, but I just don't see it for the Colts with the way they've been playing. And Baltimore is a solid maybe.
Yeah. We'll see how all of that takes out on Sunday and for the rest of the season. That does it for our circled games. Those are 3 games that I know that...
Oh, fuck, he froze again.
And the first game we've got is going to be our Saturday.
You froze again.
No, there were a couple times. No, I realized I froze when all I saw was this.
I'm trying to set up a technical difficulties bit there.
I'll let you take the transition.
Sure. So that is going to do it for our circled games. 3 potential game of the weeks, I think, very easily. That being said, I just noticed that we have Bucks Panthers in the regular section too, which is my bad. I forgot to get rid of it. But the first regular game that we have this week is Eagles at Commanders. Now, a couple of quick notes about this one. It was just announced yesterday that the Commanders will be shutting Jaden Daniels down for the rest of the season, even if he's healthy enough to come back. So it will be Marcus Mariota the rest of the way. Mariota won against the Giants on Sunday. It will be Mariota the rest of the way. I think that very heavily favors the Eagles.
Obviously, but I mean, Marcus Mariota, in terms of backups in the NFL, he's absolutely no slouch.
No.
He's definitely one of the top-tier backups, and like we saw against the Giants, granted they are 3 and...
Nope, 2-12.
2-12. My bad. Granted, they are 2-12, but Mariota is no slouch for a backup. And I think he very well could be the reason why the Commanders are much more difficult team than teams expect them. The teams expect the Commanders to be for the rest of the way. With that being said, I don't think that's going to happen this week. Even though it's in Washington, the Eagles are just a lot better. It's not by they're just better by a little bit. The Eagles are significantly better than the Commanders. And I just don't see the Commanders winning this one. They may make it look close with a garbage time touchdown, but I don't think this one's going to be very close.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, maybe I'm a homer. Maybe I'm just riding so high off of the Eagles holding their opponent to 75 net yards yesterday. But I don't see a world where Mariota throws for more than a touchdown. I think the Commanders could get into field goal range a couple times. I don't think Mariota throws for more than 1 touchdown. I have the Eagles winning in Washington 35-13. If you'd asked me 12 months ago, the score would have been a lot closer. I anticipated edging out the Commanders in the NFC Championship. Obviously, we blew them out, and I'm grateful for that. But I just don't see it with the Commanders this year. They have been struggling. They are now down arguably their best offensive player. In fact, they are now down arguably 2 of their 3 best offensive players with the Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels injuries. So I have the Eagles winning 35-13. I think they found something offensively, even if that something is just not committing holding penalties every 3 fucking seconds. And I expect that the positivity rabbit was killed for the Eagles' sins, and the Eagles will now go on a run and win the Super Bowl.
That would be quite the story. They are 1-0 since the passing of the positivity rabbit. Yeah, I've got the Eagles winning this one 30-20. I don't think it'll be particularly close. Probably look a little closer because it's a garbage time touchdown. But yeah, I've got the Eagles 30-20. Don't imagine it'll be too close. And for the next game, we've got the Chargers going into Dallas and playing the Cowboys. Yes, the Chargers won in Arrowhead last week. The
And
Chargers
beat the Eagles the week before.
beat the Sliding Eagles the week before. Granted, those are two tough teams to win, no matter what. And those are two tough teams to win back to back. I'm still not convinced by the Chargers offense.
Yeah,
the Chargers offense hasn't looked elite really at any point in the season. And when you're playing an offense that is elite, it is difficult for me to see the Chargers putting up enough points to outpace them, which is why I've got the Cowboys winning this one at home 28-23.
Yeah, I'm going to be blunt. I don't really care what the Chargers' offense looks like. Their defense is elite. And the Cowboys arguably have not played a defense as high-powered as the Chargers all season. You could argue the Eagles' defense is that high-powered. I would argue that the Eagles' offense negates any advantage gained. But I think that the Chargers have a lot of pieces offensively that if they need to score a lot in not a lot of time, they can do that. We know that Greg Roman is content on playing ball control football and just running the shit out of it. That was the complaint in Baltimore, was that he didn't do anything else. But Jim Harbaugh has the defense necessary to contain a powerful Cowboys offense, and the Chargers offense has enough of the right pieces to beat the Cowboys defense. And I have the Chargers winning 24-21. I think it'll be close. I think that the Eagles eliminate the Cowboys from the playoffs on Saturday. And then the Cowboys throw themselves a pity party by losing to the Chargers on Sunday.
Looking at it now, the other notable high-powered defense that the Cowboys have played so far this year are really only the Packers and the Broncos. And the Packers, they did put up 40 on.
They dropped 40 on the Packers, but they did not do well against the Broncos.
They dropped 24 in a game against the Broncos while also losing by 20.
Yeah.
Even with that, I still think that this Cowboys offense is probably a little bit better. But, I think it'll be close. You think it'll be close, so we will absolutely see what happens on Sunday.
Hey, I'll tell you what. If the Cowboys win by more than a touchdown, I'll put on the Dak Prescott jersey that I have hanging over there.
I'll agree to that.
If they win by less than a touchdown, I'm not putting on a Cowboys jersey. You can't make me. But if they win by more than 7 points.
Okay. And on to our next one. We've got a little less exciting of a game. We've got the Vikings going into the New York Giants. And this one, the Vikings are coming off of a good win. The Vikings are coming off of a great offensive performance. But back to the thing of the Vikings have lacked consistency this season. J.J. McCarthy has lacked consistency this season. But even with that, the Giants' offense right now is really Jackson Dart and
a prayer.
And I saw a stat this week about Jackson Dart where 50% of Jackson Dart's games, he has been called for concussion protocol.
Jesus.
They
gotta fucking protect that kid.
He's got to protect himself. I mean, he's the one who is running into linebackers, which, I mean, you want to see out of your quarterback every once in a while, but he does it 5 times a game, which is not what you want to see. Even with Jackson Dart and how much I love Jackson Dart, I think Jackson Dart is a great player. I think he's going to be exactly what the Giants have needed. But I think the Vikings are, much better, well-rounded team. I think they're a better coached team. And I think that they're going to win a close one, 24-21 in, I was about to say Medford, in
MetLife,
New Jersey.
Yeah. I have the Vikings winning 24-17. I anticipate that it will be a larger disparity. Maybe the Giants score a last minute touchdown or kick a last second field goal to make it look like it was competitive. The Giants are talent deficient, and as good as the start of the Mike Kafka era was in New York, the recent Mike Kafka performances have not been great. So I anticipate that the Giants will get outcoached and thoroughly outplayed by a Vikings team that is theoretically superior in just about every way. So I've got 24-17 in New Jersey. Vikings taking down the Giants.
The Giants have only put up less than 20 points twice when Jackson Dart starts. Just kind of random, but I think that shows the value that Jackson Dart has brought to this team so far in his career. Granted, even while putting up 20 or more, most of those games are losses.
Yeah, but that's that's a poor reflection on the defense more than anything.
Yeah, almost all of those games are losses, actually. But I think it shows what the value that Jackson Dart brings to this team. And I'm curious to see what that looks like next year. Because for the remainder of this year, it just doesn't look great. Their offense is very, very hurt. And honestly, if I'm the Giants, I'm considering benching Dart for the rest of the season just to keep him healthy.
Yeah, I mean, with all of the season-ending injuries that the Giants have already suffered at key positions, Cam Scatterbo went down, Malik Neighbors went down with a torn ACL. You really don't want that to happen to your franchise quarterback at this stage in the season. And in a lost season, the reps are not as valuable as him being healthy next year.
I think that'll happen. Probably not. But either way, we've got the Vikings winning this one in a close game. And onto a game with a team that has sputtered. Had a great showing last week against a division opponent. We've got the New England Patriots going into Baltimore and playing the Ravens. And this Ravens team looked a lot better last week. Not just offensively, but defensively. They looked significantly better, shutting out the Cincinnati Bengals. And even though this one's in Baltimore, I think that actually hurt the Ravens. And it's just because the Patriots, like the Broncos, although the opposite, the Patriots haven't lost a game on the road this season. They are 6-0 when traveling this year. And I don't think that changes this week.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. The Patriots are a very, very good team. This feels like a must-win for the Ravens. The Patriots have a little bit of cushion, although not a ton now. Buffalo has made a late push to kind of equalize themselves to the Patriots in the division. But this feels like a must-win for the Ravens. If they lose this week and the Steelers win, we'll get to the Steelers in a minute. But if they lose and the Steelers win, the division feels out of reach. Even though mathematically it isn't, it would require the worst the Ravens can go is 1-2. If you're hoping for a 2-1 performance out of the Steelers, or actually at that point you're hoping for a 1-2 performance out of the Steelers as well. So
yeah, the Ravens team is tough, but I don't think that they're going to do enough to beat the Patriots. I've got them winning at 27-21.
And I have the Patriots winning 31-28. I think Baltimore is going to give it their all. I think they're going to show why they should be an upper echelon team. But man, it is just not the Ravens' year, and that sucks because it's officially not the Chiefs' year, and the Ravens really could have used a year in the playoffs without Patrick Mahomes there, with a chance to just assert their dominance.
Yeah, and on to our next game with we were considering circling this week just because it's got first pick first overall pick implications. We've got the Jets going into New Orleans playing the Saints. The Saints coming off of an upset win against the Carolina Panthers. And I was hesitant to pick the Saints, and it's only because most of their wins have come against their own division. The Jets obviously are not in their division, but the Saints' other win came against the New York Giants.
Yep.
The Jets, similarly to the New York Giants, are also really terrible and have double-digit losses. Because of that, I don't think we've got to spend too much time on this game. I've got the Saints winning it 22-14. I just think that this is exactly going to be credited to that coaching disparity that we discussed earlier. The Saints coaching staff is just that much better than the Jets. And I don't think the Jets are going to be able to do enough.
Yeah, I was trying to find information on the nature of Tyrod Taylor's injury. I know it's a groin injury, but I don't know if he's considered day-to-day or week-to-week. I couldn't find any information on that. But I think if Tyrod Taylor plays, it probably increases the Jets' point total opportunities. I don't think it increases their chance to win. The Saints are a well-coached team. Tyler Shugg is playing out of his fucking mind, given the talent that he has around him. The Saints defense has really rallied over the last few weeks under Brandon Staley's tutelage, and I have the Saints winning 32-18. I think that this has a chance to be just a certified, oh fuck, the Saints are going to be fun next year game. As for why we didn't put this in the circled games, we felt there were a couple higher impact matches, is how I'll phrase that. And we found a game next week that probably deserves the title of Tank Bowl more. We will get there when we get there, although if you look at the Week 17 schedule, you'll be able to figure it out. Up next for this week, we have Bills at Browns. We don't have to spend too much time here either, I don't think. The Bills are good, and the Browns are not. I have the Bills winning 38-12, and I don't have anything more to say about that. Oh, actually, I do have one more thing to say about that. Was not featured in our headlines video because I'm a moron, but Myles Garrett is only one sack away from breaking the record. He has 22 sacks this season. 23 would get him the record. He's got 3 games left to do it. I think he does it this week.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but with that, I still don't think the Cleveland Browns are going to win.
No, oh God, no.
The Bills are just better. They're coming off of a huge upset in Foxborough, and they're going to win 35-17. That's all I have to say about that. And moving on to a game that, if you looked at 3 weeks ago, you would say, why is this even a debate?
Yeah.
But the Patrick Mahomes injury last week, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs going into Tennessee. The Tennessee Titans have not won a game at home. The 2 game wins they do have are on the road. Also, I am a Minshew Mania supporter.
I am also a Minshew Mania supporter. I want to be very clear before I say my prediction. I love Gardner Minshew. This has nothing to do with him at all. This is me giving flowers to a player who has gone criminally under-discussed since he was drafted. Cam Ward is perhaps the least talked about first overall pick ever. And he has turned in continually solid games. He has improved over the course of his rookie season. And I have the Titans beating the Chiefs 24-17. I think that...
Difficult to say, is it?
It is. I think that special teams plays a role here. Jameer DK has been one of the premier returners in the NFL as a rookie. Alec Iomanner has been a great receiver as a rookie. Calvin Ridley exists. Tony Pollard has been having increasingly good games. And, I mean, maybe if they toss Jeffrey Simmons out there at the goal line more, Cam Ward will be able to exponentially increase his touchdown passes because he'll finally have someone with the awareness to run a fucking scramble drill.
The Titans end up having some bright spots in an otherwise very dark season. I don't think that dark season gets much brighter this weekend. I've got the Chiefs winning at 24-14. Yes, the Chiefs are without Patrick Mahomes, but I think Gardner Minshew is a good enough backup to do enough to win. I don't think he's going to have a crazy game. I think he's just probably going to be around 200 yards, maybe a touchdown, maybe an interception. I think he's going to be right around that kind of just enough mark to get the win, 24-14. Not much else to say about that.
Yeah. On to a game that I considered putting in the circled games. Oh, fuck. But I decided that I have better things to do with my life than think about the Steelers. I said it last week and I ended up being wrong, but I really do believe that the Steelers are not allowed to stray too far beyond 500. They are now 2 games above 500, and I expect the Lions to return them to 1 game sub 500. We debated last week whether or not the Lions would be able to score 30 on the Rams. They did. I think that warrants a conversation about the Rams' defensive integrity over the last couple of weeks, because the Panthers and the Lions both had their way with that defense. The Cardinals did not, but the Lions and the Panthers both did. That is a conversation for a later time. For now, the Steelers' defense is not as good as the Rams' defense. The Steelers' offense is not as good as the Rams' offense. The Lions are... the Lions are to the Steelers as the Rams are to the Lions. Superior coaching staff, superior players. And I don't see an upset happening in the Motor City. I have the Lions winning 28-27. I think the Steelers make it close, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't see this one even being that close. I mean, this one's in Detroit, and Detroit is pissed about the loss last week. And if I've learned anything from watching a Dan Campbell team, is that when they're pissed, I don't want to play them. This Lions team I think they are going to absolutely blow out the Steelers in the beginning of the game, and I think that the Steelers are going to try to make a comeback and are going to end up making it look a lot closer late in the game than it actually was. I think the Lions are going to win it 31-24, and they're going to end the game with kneeling the ball.
Yeah,
and that's the way I see it going down. But who knows? I guess any given Sunday, the Steelers could somehow make an improbable comeback, but probably not. We've both got the Lions winning that one. And on to another game I don't think we've spent too much time talking about. We've got the Atlanta Falcons going to Arizona playing the Cardinals. I've got the Falcons winning this one if Drake London played. I understand that they were without Drake London playing against Tampa Bay. But with that being said, I think that last week was potentially a fluke against a divisional opponent. And with that, I think that they win 24-20 if Drake London plays. If they don't play, I think it looks a little bit more like 23-20 in favor of the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have been a much better team than I think a lot of people have given them credit for. Yes, they have lost a lot, but they look competitive in a lot of those losses. And the Atlanta Falcons haven't particularly been a dominant team this year. They have been susceptible to trap games early in the season, and I think that this is a potential, if you want to call it a trap, a potential trap for the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but I think that the Falcons, I think that the Falcons are better coached and more talented than the Cardinals. I really don't like Jonathan Gannon. That's honestly just a personal thing. He fucked us over pretty bad in the Super Bowl right before he left. He fucked us over so bad that we just fucking left him in Arizona. Um, but I think that Raheem Morris has done more to convince me that he should keep his job than Jonathan Gannon. And I believe that the Falcons will win 27-21 whether Drake London plays or not. I think if Drake London plays, that margin probably goes up. But I just don't see it for Arizona.
Yeah. My potential trap is just because I just lack confidence in the Falcons.
Yeah, no, that's super fair.
With some of the performances that they put together this year, they just at times they look to just genuinely be terrible. From getting shut out by the Panthers 30-0 earlier in the season, and a complete offensive meltdown. No, I just lack confidence. But if Drake London plays, I think that he brings a level of stability to the offense. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. This isn't a particularly exciting one. This might have draft pick implications from pick 6 to pick 10, but we'll see. And on to another one that I don't think there's much to discuss. We've got the Raiders going into Houston playing the Texans. Raiders coming off of a 31-0 loss against your Philadelphia Eagles.
And it's arguably worse than that.
Which very much so could have been a couple touchdowns worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been 42-0. The Raiders got held under 100 yards. Dallas Goedert dropped one of the most wide-open touchdown passes you'll ever see. The Raiders actually bucked up and stopped Tank Bigsby at the goal line. I don't think that he deserved that score the way that I think Dallas Goedert deserved the touchdown that he dropped. But the Raiders offense got held under 100 yards. Kenny Pickett is bad. Pete Carroll is a bad head coach. The Raiders offense is atrocious. The Raiders defense might be worse. I mean, the only guy with any amount of marginal talent on this team is Max Crosby, and he can't do it all. He did it all twice this season. The two wins that the Raiders had were in Max Crosby legacy games. But man, oh man, it has been a brutal season for the Raiders. I have the Texans winning 24-7. And it might be worse than that. The Texans' defense is arguably better than the Eagles, and the Texans' offense is certainly operating more efficiently than Philadelphia's. So we could see a 50-point shutout victory in Houston.
That would be something to see. I don't think that'll happen this week. I've got the Texans winning it 30-14, and I think that the Raiders get that 14 when the backups come in.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just the story of one team's good, one team is very much so not good. Congrats to the Texans for having the Raiders on your schedule when you need a win. On to the Cincinnati Bengals going into Miami. We picked differently on the Dolphins last week.
In the same direction, even. You picked the AFC North team and I picked the Dolphins.
I got it last week. We'll see if you get it this week. But I've got a little bit more confidence in the Bengals, even though they're coming off of a disappointing return of Joe Burrow, to say the least.
See, if you'd asked me 6 weeks ago, hey, does Joe Burrow beat the Dolphins? Fuck yeah, dude. Of course he does. Here's why I've changed my mind in the last 6 weeks. Number one, the Dolphins have been playing a lot better than they did in the first 10 weeks of the season. Number two, we both watched the Bengals game last week. You don't get shut out by a division opponent in the NFL. It just doesn't happen. This is the end of Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. It has to be. And their product on Sunday proved why. They looked like a lifeless team. They didn't care. Joe Burrow was sloppy. Jamar Chase didn't care. T. Higgins didn't care. Well, T. Higgins was out. Andre Yoshivas didn't care. The defense barely tried. I mean, I think that a loss in Miami could be the end of Zach Taylor. And I think it should be the end of Zach Taylor. And I think that the Bengals arguably should bring in a defensive head coach like Chris Shula.
I mean, I don't like Zach Taylor. I haven't liked Zach Taylor as the Bengals head coach ever since he was hired as the Bengals head coach. I think that Super Bowl run in 2021 was absolutely a fluke. I think that without when the Bengals lose the stars, they turn into the 2008 Detroit Lions. I mean, it's really, really, really bad. And when if you're a good head coach, doesn't matter who's hurt. You do not let your team collapse like that.
Well, and we've seen that with Kyle fucking Shanahan, right? And I mean, Shanahan, I don't remember if Shanahan came from the McVay tree or if he was hired around the same time as McVay. I know that they are both from the Mike Shanahan tree. I know that they are both Shanahan coaches in that respect. But Zach Taylor was hired in 2020 off of the, oh fuck, I need to hire anybody who's ever had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay craze. He was awful in 2020 with a rookie Joe Burrow that he got hurt. He lucked into Jamar Chase at 5th overall. Chase should have gone 4th. He should have gone ahead of Kyle Pitts. And in a weaker quarterback class, Chase might have gone 1st. Yeah. It is very, very hard to say that the Bengals' success has come from Zach Taylor. And
I don't think you can say that genuinely. I really don't, because whenever you look at it, whenever Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or, like I said, like these stars, whenever they're out, the Bengals genuinely look terrible. And without a Joe Flacco signing, the Bengals wouldn't have even had the chance at the AFC North that they did have. And when that happens, you got to look at the head coach. And the head coach just isn't. Zach Taylor just isn't the fit for Cincinnati, to say the least.
It feels worth mentioning that if Jeffrey Lurie were the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, not head coach. If Jeffrey Lurie were the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, Zach Taylor would have been fired. I mean, there was press building around Nick Sirianni in 2023, the year after he'd been to a Super Bowl. You can't blow 3 straight seasons, including a loss to an awful Patriots team in Week 1 last year that held you out of the playoffs, and keep your job. It's organizational malpractice. And if I'm Joe Burrow, and I'm looking at a team...
Well, it comes to the Rams, right?
If I'm Joe Burrow, I'm looking at the teams around the league that are going to need new quarterbacks next year. And I'm looking at LA, and I'm looking at the New York Jets, honestly. Because then I get to throw to Garrett Wilson, and I get to throw to whatever receiver the Jets draft. Maybe they'll draft Carnell Tate at like 3rd overall. I'm looking at a good team with a rising defense and an offense that I can make better. Or I'm looking at the Rams, and I'm looking at multiple rings in a short amount of time.
When I think about it, and this is definitely going to be a conversation in the offseason, especially if Matthew Stafford retires, is if you're Joe Burrow, do you want to do the same thing that you've been doing and trying to slug a struggling franchise to a winning record? Or do you want to be a dynasty? Because
Yeah,
let's be honest, if Joe Burrow goes to the Rams in the offseason, the Rams have the potential to be a dynasty
they
and
might win one this year, change quarterbacks, and win one next year.
get 3 rings in the next 8 years. Because the core is there, and the Les Snead Rams have proved that he can make a boatload of day 2 and day 3 picks work with an elite quarterback. And honestly, I think if we're talking about, this is completely sidetracked, but if we're talking about the Rams, I think trading Joe Burrow for 4 first-rounders genuinely might be the best decision. Because Joe Burrow is an established player.
You're not gonna get a rookie quarterback or any set of rookies that make your offense jump like Joe Burrow getting to throw to Puka fucking Nakua.
And I think the bigger thing is that Joe Burrow finally has an offensive line that can keep him fucking protected. But with that, in the future of Joe Burrow, I'm sure we'll have plenty of conversations about that in the offseason with the Bengals and Dolphins game. Even with the Dolphins looking so much improved over the second half of the season, the Bengals are just better to me. Even with how bad their defense is and the coaching malpractice that I think exists for both of these teams. I think that the Bengals are just a little bit better. And I've got them winning at 30-28.
Yeah, you've got 30-28 in favor of the Bengals. I have 25-21 in favor of the Dolphins in the game that, God willing, ends Zach Taylor's career permanently. Nobody else give him a shot. On to our final game, I believe the Monday night game this week. 49ers at Colts. This, if you'd asked me 4 weeks ago, would have been one of the circled matchups. The 49ers have no right having 10 wins on the season. The Colts were starting their slide 4 weeks ago, but we're still one of the hottest teams in the league. We have this game pinned similarly. It's Robert Saleh versus Phillip Rivers. I don't think it's going to go well. I have the 49ers winning 28-17.
Yeah. I really hate the 49ers. I hate that they're so good despite the fact that 23 of their players, maybe 27 of their players, have seen the blue tent this season. And I hate the fact that I confidently think they're going to win this game. The 49ers are just a better coach team right now. Frankly, I think their roster is better well-rounded than the Colts right now. And I've got them winning at 27-24. I think that Phillip Rivers gives them a shot. I think that similarly in classic Phillip Rivers fashion, that shot gets blown. But, we'll see what happens.
And on to next Thursday's game. It's a divisional matchup in the NFC East, which the Commanders have 3 of in the final 3 weeks of the season, apparently. Cowboys at Commanders. We don't have to spend much time here. I may have picked against the Cowboys this week, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for them as an organization. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that they've done this season. And how good their offense has been this season. I have the Cowboys winning 31-17 in thoroughly uncontroversial fashion. And good riddance to the Commanders, who I think will go 0-3 in their final 3.
Say about this one, Coop. Like you said, Cowboys offense is really, really explosive. And I think that they get the win over the Commanders 33-20. Unfortunate use for a primetime slot is all.
Yeah, I mean, I would be pissed to have gotten flexed into Thursday night. I mean, Eagles-Bills would have been a thoroughly entertaining Thursday night game, don't get me wrong. I would have been pissed to be flexed into Thursday night, but holy shit, man. The Tank Bowl that we're going to cover for next week would have been a better Thursday night game than this.
Anyway, that does it for our picks for Week 16 across the NFL. As always, thank all of you so much for watching. All of our social medias, Instagram, X, TikTok will be linked in the description. Go give those a follow. If you guys haven't watched our headlines video from Week 15 of the NFL, go ahead and give that a watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see what happens this week across the NFL, and we will see you next week.